Hey everyone, Slopko here from the Trick Room Discord. If you guys know, you guys could follow me at dsopco91 here on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and reach out to me. As you guys might have seen, I just posted a grass control list for GLC on Cardboard Warriors. So always going to continue to bring Pokemon TCG content and talk about everything that's going on. I've been putting GLC off to the side for a little bit now. I've been focusing more on standard currently since Scarlet and Violet, as you guys are probably really excited also, and hopefully see my last pack opening of a whole case of Scarlet and Violet. Got all my favorite cards, got all my standard decks built, been doing a lot of practicing, have gone 9-1-3 and over the last couple of weeks at my local standard, so really excited. Going to Hartford next month. Hopefully we'll see you guys there. Hopefully we'll play GLC. Hopefully we can do some standard stuff. If you guys are pro players and do a lot of competitive play, I'd like to get your favorite Pokemon signed. It's something I'm going to start doing as far as a collection. I know we're all excited for even NAIC, which is going to be coming up fast in 2 months. Paldea Evolved is already going to be in a month. So there's just been a lot going on with standard. EUIC was a blast. Like, just watching it, the top 8 was really great games. I don't know if you guys looked at them or watched it, but there was just good overall gameplay, and I think we could all say that standard is in a great place right now. 7 out of the top 8 were all different decks. Even the ones that were outside of the top 8, there's a good variety. And of course, like we expected, Gardevoir, I mean, some type of Arceus toolbox type of ordeal like Alex Szymanski went with. That's probably the best way to play Arceus, is a toolbox style. Lugia still pretty strong. Mew's still pretty strong. Then we have like the new upcomer like Miraidon, and just a good variety. Different ways to play Gudra, Tina. So there's a good variety right now in standard, and I think everybody's pretty overall happy with that. So today I'm going to go over what my favorite deck is to play. And that's standard or GLC. It was created by Tyler Matthew. As you know, he's a very successful Pokemon TCG player. He's been doing really well in the tournaments he's gone to. This deck I pretty much have almost all cleaned up too, because it is my favorite deck to play. So I've invested my own personal money into it, of course, and we're going to go over it. I actually talked to Tyler when he first created this deck, and we kind of were collabing together, different ideas, just for a couple cards, just because the setup is very hard to succeed consistently, but I think this is probably the best consistency for a Lost Zone Psychic deck that it's going to have. As you guys know, Lost Zone in Standard is kind of tough to play. You can Flower Select, hit 2 cards that could just ruin your whole game. So imagine that in a singleton format. So that's where this can get a little tricky. But we're going to go over the deck. So, whole idea, obviously, is to get to stabilize the Lost Mind. Lost Mind attack does 12 damage counters. However, you place them for just 1 single energy. Very strong attack in Standard. And it carries over to GLC. This is not like your normal GLC deck. It's not big, bulky, stage 1, stage 2 Pokemon. It's not a lot of supporters. It's not a lot of energies. It's completely different. And that's what makes it a lot of fun. It plays a completely different style. Obviously, Colress Experiment, very important card that we aim for to get into our hands. And there's multiple cards here that help set that up and help get to that 10 in the Lost Zone as quick as possible. So we'll start up here with the Pokemon. We got Shuppet Bennett. Bennett's Puppet Offering allows you to get a supporter from your discard up to your hand, and it puts Bennett and Shuppet into the Lost Zone, which is huge. So you figure if you use Colress That's 2. That's 3, 4. You can use Colress again the next turn, and then that's 6 total right there. Your bench barrier, very important, of course, because we play a lot of low HP Pokemon, and Comfey is going to be our basically our switch card, because you want to use Comfey if you knock out your Pokemon and then be able to retreat. So Mew is very important for bench protection. It also does spread some damage counters. Gengar with its Netherworld Gate. Gengar, it makes your opponent think about how many Pokemon they're benching. Its attack goes based off that, just for one single energy, can help get early damage in, and kind of just helps break down those bigger bulky Pokemon for Sableye. Chimecho, also the other early attacker. With the Bell of Silence, it does 10 damage, but your opponent cannot play Pokemon with abilities their next turn. That is huge in GLC. There's so many Pokemon that people play that have abilities in GLC, because you don't have like Path to the Peak. You have very few cards like Hex Maniac or Weezing that can just shut off, or like Wobbuffet that can shut off your opponent's abilities. So very few cards that can shut off abilities, but Chimecho usually prevents you from your opponent evolving, which is very important. We want to keep your opponent from evolving Pokemon, to keep them at the low HP, so that way when Sableye or Gengar are there, they can just chip away at those smaller Pokemon. We have Esper, which its first attack, this one's the more preferred one. Its first attack for one single colorless energy, just allows you to draw a card. Meowstic, with its Inviting Ears, allows you to search your deck for 2 supporter cards and put them to your hand. Obviously for Colress, that's very important. That's the #1 reason why we play Meowstic. It's more just to help out with that consistency of the deck. Mewtwo allows you to use the Mind Report to get a supporter from the discard and put it on top of your deck. So we're able to basically even use Colress, play Mewtwo, put Colress back on top of the deck, and then they can't Marnie you. And that is like a good feeling, because Marnie is played in a lot of decks still in GLC. So them knowing, hey, like, you know, your top card's gonna be Colress, they second think about anything like that. Marshadow, Let Loose, the Let Loose ability. When you play Marshadow from your hand onto your bench, it allows you and your opponent shuffle each other's hands into your decks and draw 4 new cards. You combine Mewtwo and Marshadow with the Scoop Up Net, very key to keep supporters looping, to keep disruption going. Blessefion's attack, it works only when it does 4 damage counters for 2, but when your opponent has 3 prizes left, then it does 12 damage counters. So Blessephion is very important. It's almost like a temporary Sableye, if you want to look at it that way. But a lot of times I like to have Blessephion out early, just more so it makes the opponent think what they're doing. If you have a energy attached to him, so that way he's ready to go, they'll more than likely try to take out the Blessephion before they take out your other Pokemon. And it just kind of, like I said, just kind of disrupts, make them, because either way they're going to want to get rid of it, or it works out in your favor and you get to do more spread damage. Comfey, obviously the key draw card in the deck to help us get to that 10 in the lost zone. Pokestop, one of our 2 stadiums with Pokestop, with all this item base, roughly about almost 30 items, which is usually a type of deck around 30 items where you want to play Pokestop. That way it increases your chances of hitting those items, and Pokestop just helps us draw through the deck as soon as possible and get as many item cards as possible. As you can see, whether it's supporters, energies, or Pokemon that go in the discard, we have a way to recover those, which is very important. I wish that they would make a secret Pokestop. I think with the gold and the blue, it would look really sick. Training Court, usually in the later game, just to help recovery of those energies. People would mention about Dimension Valley. I get it, Dimension Valley's decent, but it's also only 1 cardless less, not 1 psychic energy attack less, I believe. And Training Court, if it's out longer, you recover more energies. So it still works really strong. Battle Compressor, very strong with Gengar, getting him into the discard It also sets up a lot of plays. You can put any of these Pokemon like Marshadow in the discard, then you can use Rescue Carrier and or Comfey in the discard, and you can use Rescue Carrier, help get your draw going, especially in the early game. You could put Culver's Experiment in the discard and then use the Mewtwo or the Banette. So there's plenty of different plays that you could do as far as that with the Battle Compressor. You use it in a deck like this, it's going to become one of your favorite cards. Random Receiver, this was, I think, a suggestion that I kind of made. I think originally it was Pokegear, but with very few supporters, Random Receiver has a higher chance of hitting, and it will hit at least one of those good supporters for you. Also, late game, if you Pow Pad and then you hit Random Receiver, you can get whatever supporter you need, which is always great. Fog Crystal, Mystery Treasure, very self-explanatory, help get the energy and our Pokemon set up. Professor's Letter, obviously, for energy. Trainer's Mail to help draw through any of these trainer cards. Nest Ball, Lug Ball, Ultra Ball, Hisuian Heavy Ball, Quick Ball. Usually just to help get set up the early game. Those are stuff along with some of your draw cards that if you have the choices, those are usually one of the first ones I would throw into the Lost Zone. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a key there of like what's a Lost Zone. Because obviously with all these cards and we're trying to get 10 to the Lost Zone, you got to know what ones that you're trying to get rid of. Echoing Horn and Target Whistle here are very important. You do not want to Lost Zone both of those cards. Usually, because GLC, you're playing with a low HP Pokemon, it's very important to have one of those later on so you can try to get a double knockout with Sableye. So they are very strong to be able to win the game. So usually, like if I pull out one of these off of Flower Select, one of those, and a Sableye, you have to Lost Zone one of those, but I would not Lost Zone both. Obviously, you're not going to Lost Zone Sableye though either. So just try your best to keep those, at least one of those cards in play. Then we got Bicycle, which fills our hand up to 4. Acrobike, you draw the top 2, but you got to discard 1. Trekking Shoes, you look at the top card, you could choose to discard it and draw the next one, or you can keep that card. Field Blower gets rid of tools and stadiums, so very important for us to be able to spread our damage and get rid of anything that could be helping our opponents keep their HP. Scoop Up Net we talked about, it could be very useful with recurring with Destruction and support. Lost Blender is more so just to get to that 10. Lost Blender obviously isn't that good. You're also owning 2 cards. Very hard to choose what 2 cards you want to get rid of, especially in a smaller hand. Lost Vacuum is always great because it does get rid of a tool or a stadium, and it also helps get us to our 10. So if you do end up having the Lost Vacuum, your own stadium or tool to get to that 10 to start attacking with Sableye, you have to do what you have to do. Bursting Balloon is very good. If your Pokemon has full HP, your opponent takes it out. It puts 6 damage counters on their active, which is very good, but it only works for 1 turn, so it's very good just to throw on the Blacephalon, the Chimecho, or the Sableye, and then kind of force them to get those damage counters out. Footstone, U-turn board. U-turn board is very important. It can't be Field Blower, which Field Blower is played in a lot of decks. Usually I just try to play 1 at a time. Usually you just want 1 at a time on the Comfey. Spell Tag, another card that helps put damage counters out. So same thing, you want it on your main attackers. We have Rope, of course, and Switch. Very good with Comfey and keeping those attacks going. I do have the Foil Pokemon Play Switch. I might get the gold one. I don't really care for it too much, but as you can kind of see, it's one of the only like gold cards that I don't have. Everything else is all reverse foil for our trainers. So we got the Rescue Carrier, the Energy Retrieval, the Pow Pad, Seeker, Ordinary Rod, and Rescue Stretcher, all for recovery. So a lot of recovery cards, and those cards you want to be very careful too, because those are very important to keep those attacks going. So you gotta be very careful too about Lost Zoning some of those. As you can see, we play very minimal energy, only 4 basic energy, And then we played the Horror and the Mystery Energy. Mystery allows you to retreat. Retreat cost of 2 less. So usually I use it on both Cephion. It's just a lot easier. Or the Gengar. So that way if you don't want one of those guys in the active the following turn. Horror Energy, another card that allows you to help spread those damage counters. So you always want on one of your attackers. Peony, Skyla, allow you to search for Colress. That's basically their main purpose, is to help search for Colress. Guzma, obviously, is a staple in GLC, very destructive. Quara, of course, are one of our main recovery supporters. Marnie and Disruption, and Hex also for Disruption. Hex also was one of our supporters that we were like bouncing around about. It's also just very good because you just don't know what you're gonna run into. So like I said, abilities and GLC are very good. So you just don't know what you're gonna run into, and Hex allows you to kind of stop anything that you might not be expecting. So it's kind of like that Disruption card that you can always recover throughout the game and kind of help you whenever you need it. But this is my favorite deck to play. I hope you guys give it a try. Hopefully I was helpful. Early attacks, like I said, Gengar, Chimecho, Cephion. You could do later on with Sableye, of course. And it plays completely different than all other decks. Tyler, he had very much a lot of success running this deck online. It is a blast to play, and that's the reason why I invested into this deck. I feel like if you haven't played GLC, you have to. It's the best Pokemon TCG format to play, and I think just investing at least one deck where you have all your whole favorite deck like blinged out like this, I think that's very cool. I only plan on doing this to this and my Lightning deck. My Lightning is my favorite type, so that's the reason why I'm doing that. And hopefully to see you guys play some Pokemon TCG at Hartford, and we'll have a good time. Peace.